From advertising to software as a service to data.
Across all of our programs and clients, we've seen a 55 to 65% open rate.
Getting brands authentically integrated into content performs better than TV advertising.
Typical lifespan of an article is about 24 to 36 hours.
If we're reaching out to the right person with the right message and a clear call to action, then it's just a matter of timing.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast, and I Hear Everything production. In this podcast, you'll hear the stories of world-class marketers that use technology to drive business results and achieve career success. We'll unearth the real-world experiences of some of the brightest minds in the marketing and technology space so you can learn the tools, tips, and tricks they've learned along the way. Now here's the host of the MarTech Podcast, Benjamin Shapiro.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Shapiro, and today we're going to discuss how to use AI to boost sales. Joining us is Matt Swalley, who is the co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky, which is an AI marketing platform that generates and optimizes personalized ad creatives to increase sales across all digital touchpoints. Powered by OpenAI's ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, and their proprietary algorithms, the Omneky platform empowers customers to analyze the design preferences of all of their customers' target audiences to manage thousands of AI-generated ads designed to drive conversions for each customer profile. And today, Matt and I are going to discuss increasing sales through AI personalization. All right, here's the first part of my conversation with Matt Swalley, the co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky. Matt, welcome to the MarTech Podcast.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you here.
And hi to all those listeners out there as well.
Well, I think that they're nodding. I don't know if everybody can respond back because we're sort of a one-way communication channel, but man, are you sitting in the epicenter of the fire right now. The entire world is talking about ChatGPT and how do I leverage artificial intelligence to do everything, create our content, enrich our data. You've been doing this for years. Omneky started, 2018, started driving revenue a couple of years ago. You've been thinking about artificial intelligence and using advanced technologies to help marketers. Talk to me a little bit about what Omneky is, what it does, and we'll get into the personalization and sales stuff as well.
You're right. So from back in 2018, late 2010s, our founder is a Harvard computer science grad, and he had successfully exited his first business, which was an education technology startup, and he knew generative AI was going to continue to get better. And Ben, what's the key to that? It's data and analytics. So we built this company from the beginning when he launched it in 2018 and then started having quite a few customers in 2020. We were using performance data and the insights from what you can get from that, from like Meta, Google, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. We keep constantly expanding integrations, and you can pull in this data for why people are clicking, why people are buying. And then you can use this tool called computer vision, which everyone's familiar with, but it's continuing to get better as well, where you can scan creatives, the value props of the text, the colors, the amount of people in it, the length of the video. These are all dynamic elements that you can pull out insights into what you should include in the next rounds of creative to improve performance. And that was the starting point. And from the initial launch, there was GPT-2 that was integrated in our platform, and we've been constantly building and preparing for what's happened over the last year when the first DALL-E 2 was launched, and there's this huge roller coaster of people jumping on the AI bandwagon. And right now it's moving so fast, it is really hard to keep up, even living in the middle of it.
You mentioned that you started with ChatGPT or GPT-2 back in the day, and now it seems like GPT-3 was here for a hot second, now a thing of the past. We're on to GPT-4. Talk to me about the iteration of our GPTs, right? How has the large language model and OpenAI's technology improved, and what does that mean for modifying your copy, your creative, your advertising strategies?
Sure. So the earlier days, you couldn't get as much insight from like plugging in keywords. So like one of the things is you can plug in your domain name, you can pull in some value props from a brand or a customer, and you could generate iterations of copy, but it wasn't perfect. It had a lot of challenges. And then as that technology's evolved, the GPT-3 to ChatGPT to GPT-4, it continues to improve, and you can type in keywords or pull in things from the data about different audiences, and it's getting really, really good in writing very concise, and you can just really instruct it AI prompt engineering is becoming like one of the most valuable skills, and then productizing that, knowing what to tell the AI to do generates better results. But now you're starting to get even deeper with Auto GPT in the past 2 weeks, where people are chaining together large language models and able to complete full tasks. Like, go do research on these 5 competitors of a product. Give me a synopsis on price. Email me a copy of the synopsis. Give me 10 digital ad creatives that align to this. And that's where you can like really start to input it.
All right. I know we're going to get into ad creative and multiples, but I got to stop and talk to you about that because I'm in the middle of trying to figure out how to do some of this stuff. You know, and the example for us is, how do we take a transcript from a podcast, send it to ChatGPT, give it our template for writing our intro scripts, and then have it spit back an introduction that's created in a Google Doc, right? And obviously right now it is give it to someone and have them write the prompts and enter all the information in. People are daisy chaining these ChatGPT's tasks together. Platforms, are they coding it? They're just using the API. How are people actually building in that level of automation?
We have a team of data scientists and our CEO that are constantly testing these things and building it and figuring out ways to use it for advertising specific, like go research the competitors, give us 10 digital ad copies. I mean, it's very streamlined. I'm not that much in the weeds of actually doing the building, but I'm using the technology every day. So we take those inputs from the data. We have a chat bot actually in our platform where you can communicate and ask, like, it asks you what your product service it is. It asks you what your target market is. And it's going to give you 10 digital ad creatives where you can just say, oh, now do it for this vertical retail. Now give me 50 search keywords. Now do this. And it's all specifically built just for advertising. And those are all the inputs to actually generating the images. It will give you prompts and you are instantly creating things that would have taken weeks before.
All right, so let's get into it. We're talking about increasing sales through AI personalization. I know that Omneky is focused specifically on producing marketing creative, right? Your digital creative. And sure, you can advertise your way into sales. Is that the only way that people are using AI personalization to boost sales?
So our main component we want to be the best in the leader in is paid digital ads today. Now we're going to expand to other areas of like organic landing pages. They all increase conversions, but right now we want to be the best at paid digital ads. So we focus on places where we can pull in performance data. Paid advertising has the most digital data available. Our platform, we built out this tool that has a single pane of glass where you look across all your channels. There's 4 different things you really need to focus on for personalization. One is your audience, your ideal customer profile or a vertical, the market, geography, multilingual. Most companies are scaling in all these different regions of the world. You have to be able to personalize that. Finally, you have your product, service, or SKUs, depending if it's like SaaS products or e-commerce. And then you have platforms. The creatives have to be optimized for each of these elements to be personalized. And that's what Omneky is doing at scale. We're creating systems through technology that can generate images and copy for each of these specific segments and then launching at scale and then testing it in real time. So right after it leaves our platform, we're testing, pulling back in that performance data and then iterating off of it.
So tell me about some of the data that you're pulling in to produce this creative. You mentioned you're doing some competitive analysis. Are you scraping, bad word, but borrowing or analyzing copy from somebody else's website to understand what they're saying? Give me some of the stages for before the ads are creative, what you're feeding into the machine.
Okay, so there's 2 sides of this. Where I gave the example of looking at competitor data and stuff, that was an example of how Auto GPT can streamline this whole process of going out in the public domain and researching. It can do it all for you. Our product specifically today focuses on pulling in performance data from the platforms. It's all the data available from the platforms, from Meta, like what are the conversions, what are across all your platforms, what are your click-through rate, conversions for each ad. You can pull some demographic information. Targeting is becoming more and more restricted, but you can look at that performance data and then layer on computer vision and start to pull out insights into like, what's the right value prop across that audience? What are the number of people? What's the length of video that's resonating the best? It will actually describe what's in that image, so then you can go create and generate more of that at scale. But a lot of it's anonymized data, Ben, that we're using there, where you can pull out insights across all your different ads that are running. We run something called regression analysis on large data sets and then find commonalities of what's performing well and then using those to generate.
So who's the type of brand that this sort of Auto GPT content production machine is best suited for?
So a lot of the new tools, there's a number of ways you can be much more nimble. So our major focus of customers is software as a service, e-commerce. We do really well in fintech, internet-based companies. Now, a lot of these new generative AI tools are very good for e-commerce because you can go like train AI on our platform with a product, like your headphones. I can upload 5 different images of your headphones. The AI is going to learn what it looks like, and then I can go place that on any person. I can describe a person you want that wearing it, or a place you want Ben to be wearing the headphones, and immediately you can go to market in a couple of minutes with that. With training the AI specifically on a product, you can really build around that product better with AI. But e-commerce is one of the best real-time scenarios where you can move fast with the new generative tools.
What are some of the rules and regulations that you've put in place? Obviously, a hot topic of, is artificial intelligence going to turn into Skynet and send Arnold Schwarzenegger down from the sky to hunt us all? Maybe I'm fast forwarding through a couple of chapters here, but there's a little concern about what the length of artificial intelligence goes. How do you avoid taking 5 pictures of my headphones and having them put on Donald Trump in front of the Eiffel Tower and making that your best performing ad creative?
Interesting you asked that. There were a number of crazy things that happened today with that, like the fake Drake song. I don't know if you heard that.
Well, the one that came to mind was people are already posting fake videos of President Biden that are AI generated because he announced he's going to run for president again. So this is coming, right? We're getting deep fakes left and right. How do you avoid that happening with your products? Because inherently what you're doing is creating a deep fake to sell a product, but fine, you take my headphones, you put me in front of the Eiffel Tower, and I'm selling the product, no big deal. You do it with somebody who's dead or somebody who, is a spokesperson for a different product, obviously you have some problems. How do you avoid that stuff?
We have a human in the loop on both sides. So we've built this workflow automation tool where, one, we have a customer success person on the Omneky side that reviews everything, or a curator is what we like to call it now for that aspect of it. And then the customer has to review and approve everything before it goes live. So we have really 2 checkpoints. And AI learns from what's out there. So the larger the data set, typically the better the results. Now, it does start to look at bias and can potentially do that, but you have to learn how to say prompts in specific ways that minimize that bias, and then build in ethical AI safety tools that are making sure that's not happening. But we really keep a human in the loop today on that and continually are building ethical AI tools into our software.
So there's the content creative point, right? You're doing image production and right image, right person, right place. You also have to sort of master the algorithm with how you're structuring the ad, what's the copy you're putting in, who are you targeting. Are you using artificial intelligence to figure out how to basically manipulate the Google or the TikTok algorithm to get more impressions, figure out how to drive conversions?
So one of the things that's changed is creative is now the major lever for distribution. With personal information going away more and more, with GDPR, California Data Protection Act, and everything, targeting is becoming more and more restricted by the platforms. And what the platforms do much of the time is they optimize content. They know what Ben likes. They know if you like golf, they're going to serve you something that is golf related. So you want to just feed the platforms a lot of firepower for all your ideal customer profiles, let the algorithms distribute more effectively. So in one way, we're kind of doing the reverse. As targeting is becoming more restricted, we're giving it tons of creative that's personalized for each of those audience, markets, products, and platforms, and then it gets distributed more effectively. So if you have a lack of creative, you're in trouble.
Talk to me about how you're pulling data out of what your performance marketing ad. You can create an infinite amount of creative now, and you could serve it to an infinite number of target markets. Is there a strategy here where I don't know who my customers are? Why don't I just blast the entire world with relatively cheap creative at scale, figure out where there is a signal, and then focus specifically on optimizing for that target market? Are you able to collect data out of who is performing by casting a wide net?
Absolutely. So you can find out like individual creative performance. You can do a number of different things, like drop a small amount of creative into a campaign, see how that scales. You can drop a bunch of creative that's similar for that ICP across a larger campaign budget, let the platform optimize it, pull in individual performance data for the amount of clicks, the amount of sales, most importantly, and then look at those attributes of those creatives that are performing the best. And those are the attributes that you can use in your upcoming iterations.
I guess what I'm asking is, are you able to basically use the creative, understand what's the best performing, and then say, okay, if this is the best performing creative, now I know who my target market is. I have a male-focused piece of creative that speaks to 25 to 35-year-olds who live in the Southeast because it showed a picture of an Alabama football player kissing a cheerleader. I don't know.
Absolutely. You can pull out demographic details for many of the platforms. So you could run a wide-based campaign with lots of creative and then go figure out who's clicking and buying. So kind of the reverse product market fit, right? So then you're figuring out who your market is by advertising.
Somebody told me yesterday that, and I don't know exactly how this works, the best way to grow a podcast is you use programmatic media. You basically buy a campaign that has negative ROI. You get media that's going all over the place, and then you figure out which piece of media is working, and that tells you where to invest the second campaign, which is inherently ROI positive. I don't know exactly how they're getting the tracking, but...
Yeah, think about the difference in how sales has changed. And so my background originally was... when I was at AT&T for 13 years, my teams were direct sales primarily. We weren't using the digital marketing lever. We were making phone calls and emailing. So you're reaching a very small group of people, and now those are going to spam. So like digital advertising has to be the base. But now with digital advertising, you're reaching potentially millions of people over a short period of time. You get a much better sample of what's working, and you can move faster. So it's finding needles in the haystack in your market is much easier that way, the reverse. And partially, Omneky's done that. Digital ads have been our biggest form of growth through the last couple of years.
All right. So Omneky is focusing on helping performance marketers optimize their creative using artificial intelligence. Talk to me about some of the other ways around the industry, not specifically just focus on digital marketing, but where are you seeing people use artificial intelligence, maybe in the same style that you guys are, to boost their sales performance?
You're seeing it for analyzing personality types for copywriting. I met a really cool company that will actually go to your LinkedIn profile, scan it, use AI to figure out what Ben's personality type is, and then help you craft an email with a click of a button that resonates with you. So there's another one in sales. Clearly can help you with organic copy. People are writing long form blogs in very, very quickly and efficiently now. So you have your organic covered. It's being used in every single aspect. And the second thing I'd like to say is you're seeing a lot of people build in the open. Social media is making a lot of learnings, common knowledge to the crowd. Whoever's following certain people on Twitter that are doing this every day, you can go learn how people are using the technology and go try it out yourself. So things are moving much, much faster with this like crowdsourced type of innovation for the ones that are sharing. And people are building on top of these applications every day with new solutions.
All right. There's some people who are not performance marketers that are listening to this. First off, if you're a performance marketer, Omneky, figure out how to optimize your creative. Creative at scale seems like a great solution. And I don't mean to make this a hard sell. It's not a sponsored placement or anything like that. But if you're doing performance marketing and you're not using artificial intelligence, what the hell are you thinking? It's time. It's here. It's more efficient. Go do it. For the people that aren't relying on performance marketers, I'm trying to find podcast sponsors. We're not on LinkedIn. We're not on Facebook in an advertising sense. We're organic content. Where do I go to learn about how to use artificial intelligence? You mentioned there's people on Twitter that you're following. What are the resources that you and the Omneky team look at to start to continue to stay ahead of the learning curve when it comes to artificial intelligence?
Ben's Bites is one of my favorite newsletters, by the way. I don't know if you're reading that, but it takes 5 minutes. It gives you updates every single day, so you can scan that.
It's a great name. I wish I owned it.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorites recently. And then the second is testing all these products that you're doing. Most of them are freemium that are out there. And so every day you go pick a couple of those from Ben's Bites, you start testing them. AI prompt engineering will be the most needed skill in the upcoming years. I keep kind of stressing that to our team as we're building and productizing prompts and algorithms within our platform. It's like everyone should want to learn these prompts because people's jobs won't go away. They're going to have to reskill and learn how to use these prompts. But we're testing every single one of these. Dolly, Stability, Runway. It's getting better every day. You're taking those learnings and then finding commonalities and then expanding that to the new programs that are getting launched.
It's a brand new world. We're all facing the idea that the machines, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, OpenAI, maybe even Bard, they're all different ways for us to accomplish tasks that we've already been doing, just more efficiently. It's not a question of whether you can get access to the data now. It's not a question of whether you can filter it. It's about whether you can figure out the right prompt to get the machines to start working for you. And Omneky has been a leader in innovation when it comes to artificial intelligence in that space. And that wraps up this episode of the MarTech Podcast. Thanks for listening to my conversation with Matt Swalley, the co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky. If you'd like to get in touch with Matt, you can find a link to his LinkedIn profile in our show notes, or you can contact him on Twitter. His ham is mswalley2539. That's MSWALLEY. The number is 2539. Or you can visit his company's website, which is omneky.com. That's OMNEKY.com. Just one more link in our show notes I'd like to tell you about. If you didn't have a chance to take notes while you were listening to this podcast, head over to martechpod.com, where we have summaries of all of our episodes and contact information for our guests. You can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and you can even send us your topic suggestions or your marketing questions, which we'll answer live on our show. Of course, you can always reach out on social media. Our handle is MarTechPod, MarTechPod, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or you can contact me directly. My handle is Ben J. Shap, BenJShap. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want a daily stream of marketing and technology knowledge in your podcast feed, we're going to publish an episode every day this year. So hit the subscribe button in your podcast app, and we'll be back in your feed tomorrow morning. All right, that's it for today. But until next time, my advice is to just focus on keeping your customers happy.